It's unfortunate sometimes too, because the biggest failure with Filipinos is amongst ourselves. If I'm able just to share my knowledge to the audience, that's always been my biggest focus. Like that. That's why I've got into the business mentoring consulting side of things.
Okay, so before we start, I just want to say thank you for being here today. I know that busy kayo sa schedule nyo, and I do appreciate you sitting down with me for this interview. So, I want to start with yung background history nyo po at yung business nyo. Ano yung mga previous businesses nyo until to what you're doing now?
Yeah, but Art, thank you so much for allowing me to do this podcast with you. It's really good. Especially your first one, it's great. It's good, because if I'm able just to share my knowledge to the audience, that's always been my biggest focus. Like that. That's why I've got into the business mentoring consulting side of things. So previous to this, I've been in senior management before, and I had a grocery store business in Pakenham many years ago. That was 2005, and that was really a great learning for me from a business perspective. So, and that learnings, when I started that business, I want to share those learnings and the pain points and the mental stress and anguish of being a business owner. And from that, and that's what really motivated me to Anorin to have this business mentoring, for business owners. If I can just share those knowledge that what I went through, and back then, 2005, there wasn't a lot of support. There wasn't a lot of business mentors, business consultants. There was, even from a mental perspective, Beyond Blue wasn't there at that time. And that's why it's really hard to navigate your way through as a business owner.
And I think it is a different, mentality as well back in the days where the safest bet is to get a 9-to-5, get a stable job. Whereas now it's turning into, a lot of people are turning into entrepreneurship. And they would like to start a new business. The good thing now is just like what you mentioned, in comparison to noon, meron ng mga resources and available information out there na available for someone who is looking to get into business.
Yeah, and that's what I found, because arriving in Australia in 1976, I've lived here for so long, and I've always known what sort of business landscape that Victoria can offer. So a lot of people come to me and said, Alex, I've got this idea, I want to start a business. And I always say to them, and I don't think that concept will work here in Melbourne, for example, right? So why don't we do something else? Because starting a business, there's a lot of capital that you need to go through. So you don't make sure that you invested wisely, you spend your capital wisely as well. So I always try to encourage them to look at a way where there's a gap in the marketplace that your products or services can fill those gaps. And sometimes too, at the moment, let's say, for example, somebody opens a Filipino grocery store. We got so many already, for example, right? Let's say if you have $200,000 to invest in opening a grocery store, for example, and not only Filipinos are selling a lot of Filipino products, but you got the Chinese stores as well selling Filipino products very cheap.
And they have a Filipino aisle.
Exactly right. And some of this is 2 aisles, and and some of that, even the major supermarkets like Woolies and Coles also stocking Filipino products. So you say to yourself, all right, you've got this capital, $200,000, and you want to set up a grocery store. What else can we do with that? Something else different. So, and that's what I like to also let people know that at the moment, the market is saturated with so many Filipino grocery stores. Have you thought about something different?
Yes.
So I always allow them to think differently in that way. And running a Filipino grocery store, that's hard work.
That's a commitment, 100%.
Yeah, that's hard work, and you need at least $100,000 worth of stock, and the shop. And sometimes every day you look at it, say there's $100,000 of stock in there, and the dates is coming through. There's expiry dates, there's best before dates. You got to turn it over. And not only that, you got to make sure you got compliances. To make sure that you're up to date with your food council permits. To make
regulations
sure
and all that.
Regulations. So there's more to it than just. Listen, a lot of people have been successful with it, which is great, because they probably set up a place where there's a demand for it, and like I said, there's a lot of Filipino shops been successful with it. It's great, it's good.
Would you how would you advise someone where like what you mentioned, so if they are thinking of opening up their own Filipino shop, and then if it's already a saturated market, how would you advise them to say, hey, find that gap, and how would that gap relate to this saying that find your own passion and then work towards that? Because like you want someone to run their own business while having the passion for that industry. How does that sort of relate to each other? What's your advice on that?
It's good, because somebody came to me probably last year, and she's a young mother of 2 small kids. She loves baking cakes, right? She loves it. That's her passion. And at the same time, she wants to open up a grocery store so she can put her baking cakes in there. And I said, that's good, because at least, when you bake cakes, you can sell it at your store. That's fantastic.
Yes,
that's a different, you got to make sure we got the right council permit for that. But having 2 young kids and being at the grocery store as well, that's really, you're committed to it.
Yes.
And
that's more than a full-time job.
It's much more with 2 small kids. And I said, if your passion is baking and making cakes, you don't need a grocery store. You can convert your home and get a council permit to, home-based business. And you can still sell the cake from home. So because, and I said to her, what's your investment cost? I said, I've only got about $100,000, for example. That's not enough to set up a grocery store. Really, it's not.
Fittings and all that.
Fittings, stock, rent, bond, and everything. Particularly, she didn't have any experience in business. So from a landlord perspective, they probably asked for, instead of 3 months bond, probably 6 months bond, And there goes your $100,000.
Yes.
I said, why don't we do it this way? And she thought about it. Oh, that's probably better. So, when you advise somebody, you need to advise them with sincerity and to say to them, there's other options. Because once they get into it, because, I'm not sure how other consultants would work, but others probably would just say, no worries, I'll do it with you, and
I'll guide you through the whole process.
Here's my fees, and thank you very much. But I cannot do that. I know for sure that it's going to be a great challenge for them, and it's going to be a great, such a big issue for them in having a young family, being committed to the shop, where the passion is really about baking. So with the baking cakes and pastries, you have a bit more freedom there, and you can adjust according to the customer's orders, and you can still have an outlet from that.
Yes, and like even with that too, like you can see it more and more now when it complements with the Filipino store as well, because you can see that a lot of people are naglalagay sila ng kanilang cakes tsaka yung mga pagkain dun sa may in addition to yung so you're right, you can't just bake, meron kang lugar na pinagbe-bakean, and then mag-distributor ka na lang ng mga rather
to
than
the shops.
To the shops, rather than you have yung physical shop, kasi of course kailangan ng tao nun, kailangan nung nag-bake at kailangan mong, kung may dalawa kang kids, then someone has to look after them. And I think yun yung mga yun nga na nakakalimutan na hindi na taking consideration ng someone na mag-open ng business. When yung ano po ba yung based on sa yung experience, ano yung mga challenges na known, tsaka especially yung mga unknown na hindi na ay taking consideration ng mga business owners?
Yeah, you said before that, Anorin, nowadays there's a lot of information out there. You know, the Victorian government through Small Business Victoria can also give you advice, like a list of when you open a small business, and local council have some help as well. But they're just a guide, you know, so it's always good to talk to somebody, whether it be somebody in the same business as you're going to enter into, just identifying their path, what they did, or you go into a business consultant or a business mentor.
Yeah.
Because let's say, for example, I've got a lot of cases where somebody came to me after the fact, they've already signed the lease.
Yeah.
And it's really hard because, you know, on the lease, for example, they need to pay commission on sales, and there's a lot of conditions.
Yeah.
Because kasi tayo, when you set up a business, we're so excited. The adrenaline is pumped. There's yes, I want this shop, I want this is good, a lot of foot traffic.
Yeah.
I'll sign away without thinking that I should have read the lease contract. Yes. Or seek advice about the lease contract, for example.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay, so that's the sort of thing that a business consultant helps as well. So making sure that the lease in place are favorable to what the aim is.
Yeah, because you need to look at, you know, because I'm not a real estate agent or a lawyer, but I can see what I call it, aspects within the lease that you can look at to make sure that one, the business you're going into is going to be sustainable, and secondly, there's no hidden conditions.
Yes.
Right. So, and then basically that's what I normally step it through. So preliminary, I look at the lease and okay, yeah, this is okay. And before you sign the lease, you know, you seek advice from your lawyer, commercial lawyer, just to make sure that the content of the lease is about that much, you know, that's thick. To make sure everything's okay. So I always encourage my clients to seek advice with a commercial lawyer before you sign. But before you do that, there's certain aspects within the lease agreement that I can pick up and to say, oh, be careful because this clause X and Y, you know, and basically make my client aware before they proceed. Because some aspects, too, let's say, for example, you know, one of my clients was about to sign a lease of, you know, 60 square shop, small shop. And the lease is about $110,000 a year. It's not sustainable, you know. When you think about it in a scheme of things, yes, it's in a shopping center, but you're restricted in trading. You got to pay commission on sales. There's a lot of things to it, you know. And a 60 square shop, you know, when you think about your return on investment, you know, it's not enough when you think about it.
Yeah.
So I said to them, what if you go outside a shopping center into a standalone shop? You know, you compare, the rent's probably half. Because starting up a business, you need to make sure that you're sustainable. So those are the little things that over time and the experience that I have seen and gained that I can share that to, you know, prospective clients or my clients to make sure they don't fall into that trap.
Yeah, because it is different lease when you know, residential to a commercial one. And from what I know, commercial, you have to pay for all ingoings and like feedings and all
outgoings,
that. Sorry, outgoings.
Yeah.
And feedings of the shops and all that. And it quickly adds up with the...
there's some also too where the shopping center management will chip in to your fittings as well. You know, it's called landlord contribution.
Yeah.
But sometimes too, if you break the lease, you have to pay it back. And a lot of prospective clients doesn't understand that part of things.
As a lease break fee,
Yeah, so let's say, for example, if the landlord contributed $200,000 towards your fitting, for example, and 3 years later, the business isn't sustainable. So you got to pay back the landlord a proportion of that contribution.
Yeah, okay.
So once again, a lot of clients that I've seen is not aware of that because they're so excited just signing the lease.
Yes,
just to secure that spot.
Yeah.
And because at the moment there's a lot of empty shops, so a lot of agents trying to force you into signing, thinking that you better get this, or otherwise you're going to miss out.
Well, yes, that's true.
Yeah. So because the way I look at things, I always focus on a side of caution, looking at the risk side of things. So I tend to the client to say, I know you're excited, but let's just proceed with caution, just to make sure that we've done all our due diligence from that.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things that, some people are not aware, and that's why it's always good to speak to somebody who's been down that path before, who can actually guide. And it's people might say, why should I seek some professional advice? I can do this. Yes, you can do that with the right knowledge, but it's always good to talk to somebody.
You can't go wrong with just having that second, opinion, and also from an experienced one too. And I think it's different when someone is into that, turning their idea into a business. They have the mindset to go in as an employee, whereas I'm good at what I do, I love what I do, I can get it done. Whereas as an employee, you just focus on the task, which is 9 to 5. Whereas if you're a business owner, then it's different. Now you have to take in consideration the accounting side of it, and also the employee and the task, the tax and all that sort of thing. And there is more to it than people think. And that's why you're right. It's always good to have that. Okay, have you done this? Because there's a lot of things that you don't know what you don't know in business.
Exactly.
And you sort of learn as you go. And hearing, having advice from someone who's already done the job, and it is a very important, and it's beneficial for someone who's looking into the business too. Ano po yung mga requirements at ano yung mga kailangan i-take in consideration ng someone mag-open ng business from idea to an existing one?
Yeah, that's really good because a classic example of that was through COVID, right? A lot of mga kababayan natin, especially international students who's been left behind here, who wants to get some extra income. So they want to do some home-based business, particularly cooking, right? So I think there was an explosion of beautiful homemade food, cakes and pastries and everything through COVID. And we've got so many talented Filipino international students doing baking cookies, making karendera, kanin.
Crispy pata.
Yeah, exactly right. And it's unfortunate sometimes too, because the biggest failure with Filipinos is amongst ourselves. We like to see you successful, and at the same time we're the first one to dob you in.
Yes,
right? That is unfortunately the big Filipino mentality. But through that time, I always encourage our kababayans, if you're starting a home-based business, is to check with the council, right? If you're trying to bake or sell food from home, I always encourage them to call the council, the food department for the council, because they're very helpful. They will guide you through what needs to be done.
Okay.
And a lot of my clients did that. So they rang the councils and thinking about home-based business. This is what I do, X, Y, and Z, right? So the council will guide them. Sometimes the council will come to your home, look and inspect your kitchen to say, yeah, we need that. That's okay. Yeah, you're fine. And the other thing with that, one of the compliance is yourself, you need to have a safe food handling certificate to make sure that what you're doing, you're aware about handling food. And the thing is too, if you're doing it as a business, you need to have an ABN.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and I think those are the little compliances that a lot of people fail to look at. They just said, yes, I'm just going to make some food, sell it to friends. Australia is the reason why Australia is so regulated about selling food, because it's fit for human consumption, so we need to make sure whether you be selling at a barbecue in a park or barbecue at the festival, you need to have those licenses, you need to have this awareness. And like I said before, in the Philippines, we set up a little carinderia next to our home. So yes, you need probably a food permit from Barangay Captain or the mayor's office, something like that. Which is later now. But what happens here, because once you start selling food, it's called a safe food safety program. Yeah. So you need to record how you bought your products, how you store your products, what temperature you're setting it on.
Yeah. And the travel time too.
The travel time, exactly. And those are the little things that the difference between here and the Philippines. I don't think in the Philippines we had temperature checks,
No, I didn't even know there was a danger zone.
Exactly. Yeah. So between 5 degrees to 60 degrees.
65,
So those are little things, and you can study safe food handling certificate, safe food handling online. You can do that, and the food safety program, you can download that online as well. So that gives you your templates. That gives you an understanding about running a food business from home or from a shop. So every time you sell food, you've got to have those compliances.
Do you have to be like permanent resident or citizen to apply for an ABN or?
No, as long as you have a tax file number, from my understanding, as long as you have an Australian tax file number, you can apply for an ABN.
Okay.
So the ABN entitles you to conduct a business. But sometimes too, let's say for example, you have an ABN and you want to have a business name. So you call yourself Arts Podcast, for example. So that's your business name with an ABN. So the business name is linked to your ABN, which is also linked to your personal names. And that's what I tend to guide people through. When people come to me and say, Kuya Alex, I've got an idea, I want to start a business. So the first thing I normally take them through is, okay, what is your concept of the business? What is your idea? What are you trying to do? And then we talk about the foundation, how to set up the business yourself, whether it be a sole trader, it could be a partnership, or it's going to be a company, PTY limited structure. So the foundation is so important with any business, because once you have a solid foundation, whatever you put on top becomes solid. Because if the foundation isn't resolved, whatever you put on top, it will just crumble.
That is true. Especially in Australia as well, in Victoria, it is a different business landscape to what we're used to. And just going back with your example with the international student, it is a very special times, and I think it shows yung ating resilience as a Filipino sa tough times na madiskarte na and it's just that having that knowledge na okay, before you do that, kailangan natin gawin to para at least i-cover mo yung basis mo.
Exactly.
Ano po ba yung inyong advice sa yung fine line between if someone is want to start their own business at limited yung capital, ano yung bare minimum, ano yung minimum I guess requirements para to cover yung kanilang basis?
That's really hard to answer, because every business is different to how they want to start. For example, a food business is different to a grocery, or it could be different. It all depends what sort of business you want to start. If it's a service-based business, now you don't need to invest a lot of capital. Let's say, for example, you're an accountant, and you want to set up your own practice, right? So make sure you're a CPA accountant. There's not a lot of capital you need to invest, but make sure you have the right insurance, like a professional indemnity insurance, public liability insurance. if you want to have an office, for example, the lease of the office, or you can work from home to start off. So that requires less capital. But I always say to people, once I say, listen, Kuya, I've got this business. Okay, so we look at the due diligence side of things, and how much capital do you have? And I will say to them, I've only got this much. Oh, I don't think that's enough. Because by the time, let's say, for example, one client came to me 2 months ago. They want to set up a fast food takeaway. Mm-hmm. And I said, okay, so it's good. How much capital do you have? Oh, we only got 50,000 startup. I said, okay, so if you look at, you're looking at to buy a business, for example.
Yeah.
So the equipment's already there, so you don't have to spend a lot of equipment. Generally, you can buy, something like a distressed business for about 60,000, 70,000.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
With all the equipment and everything.
Yep.
Right?
Mm-hmm. So you're basically paying for the fittings.
Exactly right. So, or you can buy an existing business, for example.
Yeah.
So that's our different options for that. But they came to me and said, oh, we only got 50,000. No, I don't think that's enough. So we're going to borrow more money. I said, once you start borrowing money, you're going to start doing monthly repayments, right? Before you even open the doors, you're already doing those repayments.
Yeah.
So as much as possible. Because the thing is, when you start a new business, you don't want to start getting into debt all the time.
Yeah.
Start chasing the money because you have a lot of repayments to do. Okay? But if you have an investor, for example, you have somebody who wants to come in as a partner, so that's another option as well that you can consider. So there's a lot of varieties, but I always say to people that when you start a business, make sure you have enough capital because you need some cash reserves when you start a business for the first 6 months to make sure it carries you through and be sustainable as well. Right?
Yeah.
So, and a lot of people fail to look at that. They just said, okay, I've just got enough.
Right.
And then after that first 6 months, oh geez, I've got all these payments, I've got all these other things.
I think, that makes sense because you don't want that added pressure of repayments if you don't make your money for the first 3 to 6 months.
Yeah, exactly.
Because starting business, you do, it takes time, and then of course, sometimes it can take 3 or 6 months before you can get traction and start paying yourself.
Precisely.
When you're buying a system business and you generally cost around 50 to 60 grand and you basically paying for the fittings because you can just operate, you can just go and operate and then start selling the product. Do you also have to take in consideration that their books and of course the reputation of that said business or?
It all depends. Let's say, for example, you are buying a pizza shop, right? For example, it's in a great location, and that pizza shop is worth $70,000 to buy. But you want to put a Filipino shop in that.
Yeah.
So you don't really need to look at the books because you're changing the business concept of that shop.
Makes sense.
Yeah, but if you continue that as a pizza shop, so you're picking it up and you're continuing as a pizza shop, of course it's good to look at the books to make sure that the business is sustainable before you buy it. But if you're changing the business model of that with a new different customer demographics, you don't really need to look into that because you're creating your own customer demand.
Yeah, it becomes irrelevant. I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But one thing you need to look at if you're buying a business with the fittings already in it, you have to make sure that those equipments are unencumbered, to make sure those equipments are not being leased or hire purchased, because sometimes you could end up paying the repayments for that. So those are the little things you need to watch out for, just to make sure that, let's say the equipment is worth $40,000, just to make sure there's no debt behind those equipments.
Okay, so that debt is transferable. So if someone buys a business and that existing business have their equipment and they're still paying that equipment, that will transferable to the new business.
That's right, and that's why you need to be careful.
is that something that is normally mentioned, or is that something that is generally sneakily put into?
Well, generally, I normally, and this is where a good commercial lawyer, you need to engage with that, because sometimes we need to ensure that, there's a lot of vendors will fill out what you call a Section 52, right, sale of a business, and all the chatels, just to make sure the chatels are fully encumbered and the owner signs off on it, that to say that all the equipment are unencumbered. That's, I fully own that.
Yeah, okay, so,
And the thing is, you put a caveat in your purchase contract to say that the vendor has responsibility of paying out all the debts existing before you take over.
Yeah, that's very good to know.
Yeah, and that's why those are the little things that I tend to guide clients through, just to make sure. Particularly, I assist clients with purchase negotiations of a business or negotiating with a lease. Right, so that's the one aspect of that. Then after that, when the vendor agrees to our purchase price, and we have the lease document, we refer that to a commercial lawyer to assess, just to make sure everything's okay.
Yeah. That
especially
when buying existing business, you don't know what comes with it.
No.
And it's always good to have a commercial lawyer to go through the contracts and make sure that there is no hidden things that you're not aware or wasn't disclosed.
And the other thing as well, too, particularly some of my clients, when they buy a food business, part of our negotiations is that as well, is we like to look at the last council inspection of the food premises, right? Just because sometimes it will highlight any non-conformances.
Okay.
So, and making sure if those non-conformances have been resolved by the council, because sometimes if it's not, and you buy the business, you could be inherited that as well.
Yes.
So it's make sure, and the good thing about it as well, for a small fee, some councils have a small fee, some don't, I'm not sure, it depends which council. But before you buy a food business, you can actually ask the council, the food inspectors, to do a pre-settlement inspection.
Okay.
Yeah, so what happens, the council goes in there to say, I've got settlement happening in 30th of July. They come in about mid-July to do a pre-settlement inspection to make sure, that needs to be done, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Right? So the vendor does that. If they fix everything, just to make sure.
Before the settlement.
Because if you don't do that, because before you open, you need to have final council inspection before you open your restaurant or takeaway. There might be little things in there that you're not aware that the previous owner meant to be doing.
Yes.
And hasn't done. It could be the floors, or it could be the skirting boards.
Yeah.
There's not enough sealant on the skirting boards, so it's food grade standards. So
electrical hazard.
Could be anything, right? And so you might inherit that as part of your conformances to make sure it's done before you open. And that's an added cost to you.
Yeah.
So you need to be careful with that.
Yeah. Is that something that, especially that the council is already aware that they've checked it, and if the previous landlord doesn't fix those requirements, can you get out of that contract?
Yeah, it's not the landlord, it's a tenant.
Sorry.
It's a tenant. So let's say that the previous owner,
Yes.
let's say for example, there's some cracked tiles in the kitchen, and the council inspected that to say, you need those cracks fixed because there's food grade or could be standards or something like that, for example.
It's not non-sleep, whatever.
Yeah. And the owner didn't do that. They sell the business and you manage to buy it, and the council inspected, hang on, those floor needs to be fixed. You need to fix that. But if you do a pre-settlement inspection, that's one of the conditions that you put in to your purchase contract.
Yeah.
Right? To make sure the vendor before settlement fixes everything, what the council.
And that covers you for, so you can just go in, operate,
the
council.
Exactly. And, when you settle, to make sure, on settlement day, to make sure that everything's done X, Y, and Z. Right, before you sign off.
Yeah.
And generally your commercial lawyer will say, to the vendor or the vendor's lawyer to make sure that all those conditions have been met before you sign off and pay the balance.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are the little things that a lot of people are not aware.
Yes.
And that's why it's always good, to seek that advice, because I've seen horrific cases there. Some of my clients signed the lease, purchased the business and everything, and there was a lot of non-conformances from the council, which they were not aware. So they could not open the business until this has been fixed.
Yes.
One of that was to extend the grease trap. So the grease trap, for example, costs a lot of money, right? So my client has to fork out the money to increase the load of the grease trap, for example. And the range hood, for example, wasn't clean for so many years. So and so they had to spend $2,000 getting the canopy and the range hood clean and everything. So those are the added costs which new owners shouldn't be doing.
Correct. Yeah,
should be the vendors doing that.
Yeah, and that's exactly. You just want to go in and operate and make sure that the vendor is dealing in good faith that they have in the property.
And the other thing as well too, it also pays to check council's planning section, because I'm sharing some horrific instances. For example, there was another client signed up for a lease for a shop. And they were so happy, and they opened they were about to open their takeaway place, and the council said no, because the planning permit for that shop is only for retail, not fit for food.
Really?
So they had to apply to the council to change the permitted use of that shop from a retail shop to a food shop. So they had spent so much money doing that.
And that doesn't happen like quickly too.
No.
There is procedure.
There is. So which means I think they end up spending close to $15,000
just to get the permit.
Just to get the permit change, permitted use of that shop from retail to food. Because one, they didn't have a grease trap, so they have to spend money to put a grease trap in.
Yes.
Next thing you know, they need to have sinks and basins from different areas. Right? They have to do skirting boards. There were some gaps, so that needs to be silicon, food grade silicon and so forth. So there's a lot of things they need to do.
That's crazy, yeah.
Oh, it is, and that's what I'm saying, that we're so excited opening a shop. We're so adrenaline. I'm gonna finally have a business, but you just need to be careful in how you go into it.
Yeah.
Another classic example, I had a client he purchased a warehouse, right? Turning it into a mechanic shop, for example. So they spent about close to $1 million purchasing the building. And the council said, no, the permit for this, it's not suited for a mechanic place.
Really?
And it's already bought the building.
Really?
Yeah. So that's why it's always, councils are very good in helping you.
Yeah.
So before you go in to lease a business or purchase a building for the intended use of your business, check with the council. Just pick up that phone and say, can I talk to the planning permit? So listen, I'm thinking about opening a business at this address. Is the planning permit for that address suited to what I'm doing?
Yeah, and it's just a simple yes and no for them.
Just a simple phone call.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's always paid to do that. And that's why it's always good to have somebody guiding you to do that.
I think it's that fear as well, like you're kind of doping yourself in a way that, if I make this call and if they said no, then I'm stuck. I can't work around it because I'll literally just dope myself in. But you're right, you do want to ask them first before you spend the money that you're going to spend.
Exactly.
Because you don't want to find out afterwards.
And you know what, the council are so helpful because they encourage you to set up a business within their locality, right? Because it's good for them,
yes.
right? And they provide you the resource, they provide you the guidance, they provide you the right advice. They want to help you. Because as your business grows, you'll probably be employing local people within the council area, right? So it is, and some councils too, depends how big your business, they also offer some incentives, perhaps. Some do, So it's always good to call the council to help. Because sometimes too, we have our stigma, sometimes when you ring up a local government, have I done myself in for this, so
exactly.
I always believe that councils are very, very helpful. They will provide the right advice and guidance.
And you're right, you do want to know the information beforehand, rather than spending this much money and then you're gonna then have to restructure your plan, your business to suit that, whether if it's possible to operate in that address or not. And if it's just a simple phone call, why not make it?
And once again, a classic case for one of my clients, because the business broker assured them that the permitted use of this place is fit for food because they're opening a restaurant. But I know for a fact it's not, because it used to be a retail outlet. So I actually ran a council myself. Listen, but I've got a client thinking about leasing this place in the shopping centre and so forth, blah, blah, blah. I said, no, that's for retail only. So I actually asked my client to ring the business broker to have that in writing.
From the council?
To have that in writing from the business broker to say that shop is food for food ready. So the business broker never did. Business broker knew.
Okay. So the business broker is claiming that it is fit for food.
Yeah, but it's not.
Whereas the council saying, well, he never checked, and it's not.
It's not. And like I said, you have to be careful, because there's a lot of people out there, trying to sell you the business for whatever cause and means, or an agent trying to sign you up for a lease.
Just to get the commission,
whatever cause or means doing that. So you, as the customer, you just have to be so careful. And that's what I always encourage my clients to check.
And that's the thing too, and I think it's very important to have that someone to say, hey, have you considered this? Have you covered yourself in this area? That doesn't look right. And for someone who is for someone who wants to open a business, and you're right, you are excited, and there's a lot of things that's going on happening at the same time, and you tend to miss a step, or if you just get in a contract that you haven't fully looked into, that could cost you, that could set you back months or even thousands of dollars.
Absolutely.
Whereas if you if you have that someone that's looking after you and say, hey, cover these spaces, you should be okay. Even with that, not just opening a business, and also while you're operating the business, I think it's very important to have that person. You're right, because it is like business is already hard as it is. And there's a reason why there is I believe it's the states where business lasts for 5 years, and then after that there is like a very low chance that they succeed after that. So it's very good to, especially like sa ating mga Pilipino, na merong tayong kabayan na nagsasabi na parang, okay, good yan, hindi medyo risky ang part na yan. So I think this is where you can help too with the
and that's what's always been, and that's why I started my consultancy and mentoring services, because my purpose of doing that is to share my skills and knowledge to help advance somebody else, right? To create that awareness and to have somebody to talk to and bounce things off, and that's sharing, right? And the purpose of my consultancy firm is helping businesses grow and remain sustainable, right?
Yes.
That's my vision in itself. My purpose is sharing that skills and knowledge of what I have. So over 45 years of that knowledge, and I said to myself, during COVID when I didn't have a job because restaurants closed. I was the general manager of a meat company, and we were supplying to a lot of restaurants. Restaurants closed, I was out of a job, and I had another job to go to, but I said to myself, is that what I really want to do, or should I utilize these skills and experience to help somebody else? And that's why I went into my consulting and mentoring. It's funny because I went into my LinkedIn, to my LinkedIn community and said, listen, I'm finishing with this company because of COVID, blah, blah, blah. And one of my LinkedIn connections reached out to me and said, oh, Alex, I need your help. I cannot pay you full time, but I just pay you per hour. And so that was my light bulb moment, that someone actually out there is looking for somebody like me for that skill sets.
Yeah.
And that was 5.5 years ago, and to this day, she's still my client.
Really?
Yes.
I guess that comes down to what you said. It goes full circle where find that gap.
Yeah.
And then work your business around that.
Yeah.
And do your numbers, do your research, and make sure that all the boxes tick. You speak to the right people, the counsel, business consultant, and then hope and best.
Well, that's what I like about, because when post-COVID, we have seen a resurgence of Filipino restaurants opening up. I have seen a lot of Filipino entrepreneurs opening up their own business. It's so good. As a Filipino myself, it makes me so happy to see that. Most of them probably are not my clients, but I'm still happy and support them to realize the dream of opening their own restaurant, opening their own business, for example. So post-COVID, there's a lot of chefs working through COVID or before COVID, probably saved up some money, and they started their own restaurant. So there was an explosion of Filipino restaurants opening up.
Yeah.
And it's really good because you can see that these are the young entrepreneurs opening up their own restaurants with a different twist and spin about Filipino food. Yeah. So it's great, just to experience that, because like we discussed before, we share a cuisine not just for Filipinos, but to mainstream Australians as well.
Yeah.
To share our culture, to share our food, for them to experience that. And it goes down to the business model of what you provide. It's about having a great customer demographics that can cater for everyone.
That's true. Yeah. And I'm actually, I noticed that too. Like after COVID, there's a lot of startup companies, whether it's a beauty industry, with someone's baking, or those just making some hair, what do you call it? Those hair ties and all that.
That's right.
There's a lot of them, and the fact that there is a Filipino business expo in Banjo Palace a few months ago. And I think it is nice to see that we are taking advantage of the opportunity that this country provides with. And it's very good to have that and say, okay, now there is an opportunity here, we'll take advantage of that.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of Filipinos are doing from an entrepreneur's point of view. But sometimes too, you just got to make, before you start going into business, you got to do your research. You have to do your due diligence just to make sure that you're compliant in what you do. If one, you're making sure you're paying the right taxes. Secondly, if you're employing people, make sure you pay the right awards.
Yeah.
In Fair Work, you can have all the awards, industry awards out there, just to make sure you pay the people correctly.
Yeah.
And I always encourage business owners to do that, because they're liable at the end of the day. Just to make sure that, if they're registered for BAS, they pay their GST.
Yeah.
And they pay the super, the PAYG. And that's why, I always say as business owners, it's just not just about running a business. It's more than that. It's about managing people, managing your affairs, managing your finance, marketing, your branding, customer service.
And providing correct and operating the whole business, and also, most importantly, the customer service as well.
Yeah.
So you want them to come back.
Exactly, and that's why that's the most exciting part when you can see how customers patronize you in that way. They keep coming back because of what you provide, the service that you provide. Customer service is so paramount. It doesn't cost you anything.
That's true.
The only thing is just a smile and a friendly face and to say hello, welcome. And that's the most important aspects of any business. So if you have the right product, you have a great customer service. Sometimes price becomes secondary.
That's true. Because it does go with the customer experience as well. It's what they say, it's not about what you say, it's about how you make them feel. And I think customer service does relate to that. You want to have that environment with your customers to say that this is nice. Want to come back to experience this again, and I think it is very important to
precisely.
With the business.
And I'm very big on that. I mean, wherever I go to, I always look for that customer service experience. Would I go back to that place or not? Would I recommend that place to someone else or not?
That's true. Would you recommend that to someone else? Because it is very important, especially when you're introducing that business or that restaurant to someone. You want them to have that best experience that you experience from that, which is...
And sometimes too, if I don't have that customer service experience, I will tell that person. I will say to them, you know what? It doesn't hurt to smile. It is because we know Filipinos are the most smiling people in the world. And we need to be proud of that. And if you have a business, illuminate that, show that.
Exactly. Especially sa culture din natin kasi we're always... No matter kung gaano kahirap yung buhay, we're always smiling at tawag doon. Madiskarte ang mga Pilipino. Kaya, you're right. It's one of those na maybe lasting na it incorporates a business, but it is very important when running any business.
And there's a lot of great Filipino businesses out there that provides that great customer service experience. I'm proud of that. And when you're proud of that, you don't mind sharing them. You don't mind promoting them because you have that great customer service.
It comes naturally. You just basically, I had experience with that. Try it. And food. And or even the experience itself, which is it does become naturally.
I know, and I love watching Filipino businesses grow. There's a couple of Filipino restaurants that have grown from 1 branch to 3 branches, and they're still growing because they've got a great product and they've got a great customer service experience. Food is great. Those are the qualities of having a food business, isn't it?
That way. It's true.
The success comes with that.
You're face to face with customers, so it is part of your day-to-day operation. When you're in that restaurant space, food industry.
And the customers keeps coming back, and their customer patrons are not just Filipinos, but everybody else.
Everyone's just trying to get that experience. What it's either they heard from someone or they've been referred to. And it's always nice to have that I guess diversity in the restaurant whenever you go to any restaurant.
That's right. And I still have a lot of inquiries from people coming through to me said, I'm thinking about starting a business. A lot of there's that mindset now coming, particularly from the young generation, to have more confidence within them to start their own business because they see 9 to 5. It's okay, gives you secure income. But does that give them that financial freedom? And it's great to see. And I met this person. He's 21 years old. Yes, and he lives southeast of Melbourne. He's got this great business concept about providing offshore assistance, right? Doing back-end stuff offshore. And he didn't have enough capital, so he sold his beloved car just to have a startup capital. That means he's really serious. He's now 22. I met him as 21. He's now 22. And when I was in the Philippines, he was also there, and I helped him set up locally in Cebu. That's going to be his office there, and introduce him to a few of my network in the Philippines and a few network here. He's doing good. He's doing good. He's 22 years old.
And I think that there is also a space to that, because it's like call center. But more like, in a lower scale, but it's there is a
what he set up was different, because it's more like back office work, admin stuff. And he found, when he came to me, he's got this idea. I said, who's your target market? So that we couldn't go through that. So he managed to find a gap in the marketplace for his services to come in. And he's slowly getting a few customers that are ready. But the infrastructure was so important, the foundation was. So we went through that. We put together a business plan, and looking at how this business model would work. How it's going to marketing strategy, branding strategy is slowly working through that. So continually mentoring from that perspective, and now he's doing good.
Right. I think it is one of those that we can definitely leverage the Philippines. If we can set up something na business na sa Pilipinas, and then mag dito, then it's a whole different market too.
Because one of his purposes why, because I asked him, what's your why in starting this business? And his first why was, I also want to help our Filipinos back in the Philippines by giving them jobs. So, and I go, that's a good why, so by having this type of business model here enables some Filipinos in the Philippines to be hired to cater for his business model here. So it's good, because let's say, for example, one of the back end is about just simple bookkeeping. So he hired an accountant bookkeeper in Cebu to do the back end stuff for his client here in Melbourne. So it's fantastic. It's a great model, right? So, and that's one thing I like about the young generation. They're more not aggressive, but they're more, how can I say, gain confidence in starting their own business. With the right guidance.
Which is very important, because there is a lot of information out there. What we lack of is experience. And business, it is a cutthroat industry to be in if you don't plan ahead, or if you don't speak to the right people.
That's right.
It is very important.
And you know what? By saying that, because you always have a lot of ideas as entrepreneurs, you always have a lot of ideas coming through. But I always say to people with that, focus muna on what you do best. Make that successful before you go to something else. Because I've seen also a lot of my clients, they're jumping from one business model to another. Right? So I'm starting this and I'm going to start that and start that. So let's start one first, make it successful, grow this business before we go to something else. Because sometimes we get so excited, we get so many different business ideas that we have. So as a business mentor, I normally say to them, hang on, just put a break on. let's finish this model first, make it successful, make it sustainable, and then let it grow, then we'll start something else different.
Minsan kasi sumusunod sa uso kung ano yung uso, ay na yung business plan So
that's right. It's good because that's how the business entrepreneur's mind think.
Well, I think the good thing with that too is the fact that there is an intention to start something. That is very important, and you just have to not give up, stay at it, and be focused. hopefully it will kick in.
Yeah.
And you are increasing your chance of the success if you talk to the right people and cover yourself. And just like what you said with the foundation, once you lay that foundation, everything goes very solid at the time.
Yeah, there was one, I did a workshop, and one of the questions was, what's one thing that stops people starting up their own business? And I would say procrastination.
Yeah.
Because the more you think about it, the more you procrastinate, the more you put it off, you'll never get it started.
That's true. That is true.
I had a client came to me with this idea, and I said to them, how long have you been thinking about this? Oh, for 3 years. I said, well, your business model is great. It will work if we do X, Y, and Z, and we can step this through. And that was about, they came to me probably about nearly 2 years ago. Until now, they still haven't opened a business.
Well, yeah, it is a hard one because you do start to create the problems that you haven't even encountered yet. No. And that leads to one thing, and next thing you know, you're like, oh, what if this, what if that? And you just, it's snowballs.
And then you overthink yourself, and you wouldn't know, right? Yes, you're trying to preempt what risks and failures, but you also think about, what if you become successful? What happens from that, right? So I always say to them, make a start, and then work your way through, right? And then maybe start scaling from that.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. So, because if you don't make a start, you would never know how it's going to go.
Yeah, that is true. Then you just stop, you just dead. Yeah,
exactly. It's like my business consulting, right? If I didn't make a start, I would not know how it's going to be. I would not know where I'm going to be today, because when I make a start, I had 0 clients except that one person. My initial focus of my consultancy firm was, I want to start focusing on a corporate, because I was corporate, right? Yeah. So I look at the big companies, the large companies, and I realized after 6 months that these large companies have their own ecosystem of accountants, consultants, right? So I don't see myself, my worth and value in that. So I pivoted after 6 months. So I focused more on the small, micro, medium businesses, the mom and dad business, the family business, businesses up to $20, $50 million, right? So, and I said to myself, that's probably where I found my worth and value in appreciation in what I do in that space.
Yeah.
And those are the skills and knowledge that I can share from different industries that I've worked before.
Yeah.
As well.
And I think that's part of being a business owner as well. Like you need to be willing to adapt to what the market is telling you.
Yeah.
And you can't just say, no, this is how I want it to run, this is how I want it to go, and then they're just gonna go, no, you need to adapt with how the market condition is.
That's right.
And you need to be more realistic with your goals. And make sure that you are staying with the reality, not with your own idea. It is very important.
Yeah, you find the relevance to what it is today. I mean, when I first started my business, I did not know anything about ChatGPT and AI, but now it's such a big thing now that can really assist you in the way you do things, right? So you're slowly learning about ChatGPT, you're starting to learn about AI and how those functionalities can help you within your business. Not take over your business, but how it can assist you from that perspective, right?
It's really good, It's really good with like building systems.
Exactly.
That's the thing, and you can just streamline all the communication that you have internally, rather than you focusing on that and spending so much time and resources on that, where you can just focus on other things. You can leverage that AI and then also focus on things that you actually need to focus on, that you can't outsource to AI. And having that physical connection with people, talking to your clients, to your consultants, and to your accountants as well, it is very important and very powerful tool to to leverage?
Yeah, because I guess for me, during COVID, Zoom was number one, right? So, but now I like meeting people face to face because it's more personal that way. Yes, you can do Zoom if it doesn't work out somehow. Because I'm into relationship. I'm into relationship building. I just want to make sure that I can meet the person face to face and have that connection, have that relationship, from that, and how we can leverage from one another, how we can help one another from there.
Well, they do say that it is a different touch point when you call someone, when you text someone, or when you meet them face to face. It lasts longer. And you build that rapport to them and that personal connection rather than having someone on the phone or Zoom. Even if it's like a video call, it's different.
It's different,
and it's that extra connection. It is very important with running a business, because in business you don't know who you will meet, and you don't know who you will, be your next customer. And it is very important to have that in mind.
And that's so true, because part of having a business is building your own network, your trusted partners and trusted network around you that help you grow, right? So it is important as well. Yeah.
Can you tell us more what you do start business in your business?
Yeah, so thanks. It's not only that I do a lot of the consulting and mentoring side of the business. I also focus on new business startups, what we spoke about. I also look at strategic development, looking at building strategy for the business if they're looking at scaling to the next level, and looking at developing some growth strategies in that way. And I do a lot of facilitation for companies as well, particularly they have a large team, to look at, okay, what's a roadmap for the next 12 months. I help facilitate that in that way and put together strategic growth plan for the business. I do a lot of workshops as well, and recently I did a workshop for a client and who has a big team in the Philippines. So I did a leadership workshop for them, for their team in the Philippines. I did a workshop on effective communication. I did a workshop on tone and language of communication. So I do a fair bit of workshop. I do a workshop on how to start a business, for example, for a local council that way. And also looking at reviewing the business and financial performance of a company to say, okay, someone comes to me and said, Alex, I'm not growing, I'm just sort of stagnant. So I look at their business and financial performance in that way. So looking at where the gaps are, where they're bleeding, how to improve things, and because everything starts in the financial performance of a business. And I help them set up budgets as well to say, Alex, we want to grow next year. Okay, to grow next year, what is your goal? What is your financial goal? And they might say to me, we want to grow by 40% for next financial year. So in the past few weeks and months, that's what I've been doing with a lot of my clients, is building some financial goals and then doing the budgets for the 2025-2026 financial year. So part of that is looking at their staffing levels, looking at making sure we facilitate the growth, what sort of marketing strategies can we put together, how can we still effectively look at the market, where you're sitting at the moment. So
how can they, sign up or reach out to you for information about these workshops that you run, and also just getting some advice in regards to the business?
Yeah, generally my client asks me to put together a workshop in itself. So I don't do a workshop for the general public. It's really my clients asking me, and sometimes there's a couple of local councils through their own program. They ask me to facilitate, to do a workshop as well, right? So in that sense, you can look at my website, www.atlasbusiness.consulting, or you can send me an email, info@atlasbusiness.consulting.
Yeah.
And then basically that's how you can reach out to me from there. And I also have another client to say, Alex, I've been in business for 30 years. They have one of a huge commercial cleaning company in Melbourne. And said, I've been doing this for 30 years, I want to step back. So I also look at succession planning and transition from that. So it's like, okay, this is what we can do. We can do this, build the business to this level, then you can slowly exit the business and set up an advisory board.
Yeah.
So that advisory board, I help set up clients, set up an advisory board from that level.
Okay, yeah. Which is the next level of business.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or sometimes too, if you have a good business running and you want to set up an advisory board, and that's what I normally help clients to do, how to set up the advisory board, what are the functionalities, what is the scope of that advisory board from that. Because when you set up an advisory board, you can bring in some different skill sets that helps your business that way as well.
Yeah, you don't want the same, I guess, as anyone on the table.
Yeah.
You're just deciding on the same thing 100% of the time. Yeah, we want to.
So that client who wants to exit their business, so we can set up an advisory board where we meet once a month. So you still have a connection to the business, but you're out of the business, right? So we'll hire a general manager or a new CEO that sits on the board. We'll get some experts in to help run the business as well, to assist the CEO.
Yeah.
And the owner can just come in once a month for the meeting.
Okay, yeah. Oh, that is the next level.
Yeah, so that's a couple of things that I do. And also basically my primary goal is really mentoring. So I define myself as a business mentor because it's always good to have somebody to talk to reach out, to bounce things off, and to share your skills and knowledge of somebody. There's a lot of business coaches out there. So business coaching is more performance driven that way, and sometimes too, a lot of business owners doesn't like to be told to do certain things, to certain aspects into a program. That's why a lot more business owners like to talk to business mentors. And I do a lot of, mind setting as well, because having a positive growth mindset is so important.
It is very, it is very important because you can't run a business if you can't look after yourself.
No.
You come first.
And that's generally what I do. I do that at the start of the year, around about January. So a few of my clients will do mind resetting to look at the year ahead as well.
To look at plan out for the year ahead.
Yeah, just to get their minds in certain things in a certain shape.
Yes.
Just to make sure you have a positive growth mindset moving forward.
Yeah, which is very, very important for business. And you're right, it's always good to have that someone to bounce off ideas.
Yeah.
Because it is running a business, it can be lonely because you don't have the right people to talk to, and you have problems that is like you're the only one experiencing it for that business, and it's always good to have that someone to say, hey, am I doing okay? Or even if you are doing okay, it doesn't seem like you're doing okay, because that's just business. And it's good to have that someone to say, yeah, you hit your milestone, this is what we aim for, we set it up, and you're doing well, and then just keep going. Exactly.
It's always good as a business mentor. You have somebody behind you, push you along, encourage you. It's not so much about telling you how it should be done, but showing your true potentials and what you can do. Right, and that's what business mentors meant to be doing. And my consultancy firm, we proudly support Beyond Blue. So we've been doing that now since we started 5.5 years ago. So because I believe that to have the mental challenges of business owners, you need somebody to talk to. And if you don't talk to me, talk to Beyond Blue. But you need to talk to somebody.
Yeah, because it's one of those. It's one of those that often, people forget that the business owners, they are humans too.
Absolutely.
They need someone to talk to. And yeah, it's one of those that is very important to have that discussion with someone to say, hey, this is working well, this is not working well. What is the best direction to get on top of this?
Yeah, and Beyond Blue has some great resources there as well. 3-4 years ago, I did a course with Beyond Blue. It's about managing mental awareness for small business owners. So through Beyond Blue, so they have some great programs for business owners as well.
Yeah, that's very
and it's free to call. There's got some great resources. So part of my fees we donate to Beyond Blue. So I firmly believe in that because that wasn't there when I was running a business.
Yeah.
So I know how important it is from a mental capacity for business owners.
Yeah, very, very important. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, anyways, is there anything else now?
No, thank you so much for this opportunity. It's been great. It's been insightful. I just hope your audience can relate to some tips and some guidance and some. It's just creating awareness, isn't it? It's exciting to have a business.
Yeah.
Secondly, to start a business as well, as long as you know where to seek help or who to ask for. And I'm so glad you're doing this to help a couple of buyers out there about having a business.
Well, thank you for being here today, and there's a lot to digest, and there's a lot of golden nuggets that was discussed today. It is very, very important to have that someone, and the fact that you are helping our community, whether they are from the idea stage to a small business, and even going to the next level where the succession stage, which people tend to overlook. That's where the problem can arise for any stages. It's always good to have yung ating kababayan na Pilipino mismo na nagsasabi sa'yo at nag-guide na, okay, you're doing well, ito yung mga kailangan mong i-cover. And it's always great to have a chat with you in regards to this. So
wonderful. Well, thanks for this opportunity.
It's good.
Thank you. Thanks, mate. Well done.